I've been searching for an affordable scan tool that actually does more than just read codes. I'm talking about real bidirectional controls, component activation, live feedback, the kind of features that let you perform real services and actually allow for testing components for accurate diagnosis, not just a guess. I've read your comments, and I know a lot of you don't want another basic code reader. You want to do brake resets, battery registrations, steering angle resets, actuator tests, the kind of functions that normally require expensive shop-level equipment. But here's the challenge. Most of those tools with those advanced features either cost thousands of dollars or they hit you with expensive annual update fees. So I've been testing two options that promise serious capability at a much more reasonable price. One is geared towards the solid DIY enthusiasts, and then we've got another one for the more advanced DIYer or even active technicians who want room to grow and unlock more complex functions. So let's take a look at what these two tools have to offer. All right, so I've been working with both of these Thinkcar scan tools for the past few weeks. I've got here the ThinkScan 662 and the ThinkScan 689, and I want to break down what each one actually does, how they differ, and what that actually means for you in the garage. So let's start here with the ThinkScan 682. This here is the more budget-friendly scanner in the lineup. It's available for just under 200 bucks. This tool is an upgrade to your basic OBD code reader like I've showed you in videos before, and it delivers the bidirectional controls, allowing for active testing that lets you command components directly. In addition to generic OBD2 access, you get an overage of 4 core systems. We've got engine system, anti-lock brakes, supplemental restraint system, and then we've got transmission system. So you can read and clear codes, plus get full data stream on those 4 systems. You'll get live data with graphing features and reports, which is useful for real-time diagnostics and for component feedback. This tool also has 12 useful reset or service functions, including oil and maintenance resets, battery registration, throttle adaptation, steering angle reset, tire pressure monitoring systems, and a bunch more. The nice part is the lifetime free updates. They promise no subscription fees or annual costs forever. Okay, so this is more than just a basic code reader. It's a mid-range diagnostic scanner that gives you tools most DIYers wish they had. It's just important to remember it only covers the 4 main systems, so you won't be scanning every module in the vehicle. So think of the 662 as the sweet spot between a simple code reader like I've showed you in the past and then a full-featured pro-level scanner. Now let's talk about the ThinkScan 689. It's the big brother. This is the more advanced tool, priced around $450 to $500, and that's depending if you go with the corded version or the Bluetooth wireless version. And to be honest, guys, one of my issues with both of these tools is that the OBD data cord is just too short. It doesn't allow you to leave the driver's seat with the tool. So if you want to look at data while you're under the hood or you're standing over your toolbox or tool cart, you're going to have to go for the Bluetooth version. And I wish I had requested that tool for my testing. Let's talk about what sets this one apart from the lower price 662 model. And first off, we've got the full OE level, full system diagnostics. You're going to get access to the engine, the transmission, anti-lock brake system, supplemental restraint system, plus body controls, comfort system, gateway module, the tire pressure monitoring system, steering, lighting, basically just about every system on most cars. This tool is also able to be registered through AutoAuth for security gateway access on your Fiat and Chrysler products, Alfa products, Ram products. It was easy to add this to my existing account. I just used the serial number and updated it in my system. This tool also offers 34 reset and maintenance and service functions. So almost triple that of this 662 model. Everything from AdBlue reset to injector coating, diesel particulate filter regeneration, electronic parking brake activation, steering angle sensor reset, and a whole lot more. So although I've not used this feature yet, the 689 promises ECU coding also and programmable module installation. So this lets you match your program modules. After you've replaced them, you can unlock hidden features or customize certain settings. So like on my Toyota, I had to reset the seatbelt light on my dashboard. This should be able to do that. It's important to know that coding is different from true module programming, which generally requires a J2584 pass-through device. So you'll need a secure gateway access, manufacturer authentication, you'll need some steady voltage control with a charging system, and then access to manufacturer software by purchasing a subscription or a license access. So we're not going to be doing that with this tool. So that's well beyond what most mid-range scanners are designed to do. You'll have to pay a little bit more to get those features. So you also get over 3,000 bidirectional active tests in total, and that's where you can command components like fans, electric water pumps, lights, mirrors to test them directly. Some of these features you'll see me using in some of my videos, and this tool will allow you to perform most of those tasks. So another advantage of this tool is it supports the higher speed CAN flex data, and also has DOIP support, that's data over internet protocol. And it's used in newer vehicles. Without it, some scanners simply won't be able to talk to certain modules. Data over Internet protocol is Diagnostics over Ethernet. It's used in some modern European and high-end vehicles. Last, you still get the lifetime free updates, the same as this 662 model over here. The big difference here is that the 689 isn't limited to just 4 core systems. It touches just about every system the car has, and it gives you much deeper service functions. I have noticed, though, on some of these service functions, they're not accessible from the maintenance screen. I'm going to show some of that to you here in a minute, but I have to go through the specific module to access them, not just straight from the maintenance tab that's on the scan tool. I also want to mention that I was connected to a new 2025 Ford, and I couldn't access anything beyond the generic OBD2 functions. I wasn't able to get into the engine control system, transmission, any of those things. It wouldn't let me do that just yet. So that kind of brings me to an important point. You've got to understand that most aftermarket scan tools, they have a delay or a lag in the accessibility on new vehicles. And it takes time for them to gather the manufacturer's data, develop software that's compatible. So we oftentimes will see this even on the top of the end scan tools like my Autel or Snap-on scan tools. They're just really not completely up to date. And I can say that not every scan tool has every feature or function for every car either. And this is why we always have multiple scan tools in the shop, because we often see certain compatibility issues that are solved by switching tools. And go from an Autel to a Snap-on and get a good result, or vice versa. It helps to have reasonable expectations for your equipment before you buy something. Another cool thing is if you're an advanced DIYer or a shop technician, the 689 can go even further with additional Thinkcar accessories and tools. I've not tried any yet, but they do offer the Think TPMS, the Venue iPro. It's for TPMS sensor activation and programming. I think they have a Thinkcar USB endoscope, which is good for visual inspection in tight spaces like you would use a borescope. It's displayed right on the scan tool screen, which is really nice. And then they have a universal key programmer, which works with the 689's advanced module features. So these additional features and tools are pretty well priced and would make a great addition if you have a use for any of these features in your daily work. So I may try to have them send me a few of these items to test in the future here so I can report back in a separate video, let you know how they really work. So that's the real difference here between these two tools. One gives you the core diagnostics and service features with a great bang for the buck, and then the other one gives you the near full level dealer power without the dealer price tag. Quick service reminder here, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You go ahead and leave us some comments. We try to read all those. We appreciate your support, and all those things go a long way to helping our channel reach more people. So thank you for that. Let's get back to the video. Now, although the 689 over here promises a faster processor, I'm going to boot these two up together at the same time. Just want to show you how quickly they come on. And they both seem to be pretty much on par as far as a boot up time here, which is kind of nice. All right, so you can see the 689 tools has come to life here a few seconds here before the 682, but within a couple of seconds of each other, so not a big deal. I think they both boot up fairly quickly, not so bad. And then I was just going to show you the difference in size and display of the screen here. They both pretty much look identical. I mean, they're the same system, so I would expect them to have the same software running in them, or at least something very similar. In here, we've got some features on here. So at the top, there's these tabs. The Diagnostic tab is where you're going to do all your code reading and entering the systems. The Maintenance tab here, I'll go on to both of them for you. The Maintenance tab allows you to jump into all these hot functions. So if you're using an Autel scan tool, it's easiest to reference that one because I think a lot of people use those. You can get into the electronic parking brake in here. They've got active front lighting system. All kinds of stuff in here. There's an odometer check, which is kind of interesting. You got anti-lock brake system bleeding, AdBlue resets, suspension stuff, airbag resets. And as I kind of go through some of these, you'll see there's a bunch more of these hot functions in this 689 scan tool than there is in the 662 model. So just a bunch more stuff in there. Now it would take me forever to go through all these functions, but I can tell you, like I mentioned earlier in the video, that a lot of these functions you'll have to access through the actual module itself. So you wouldn't even access from this maintenance tab. You just go back into Diagnostics, and then you would find the system that those features operate within. So if you wanted to operate your hybrid electric water pump, you want to go into the hybrid system for that. You wouldn't go into the engine controls on that. So just a matter of finding the components in there. Not all of them operate straight through the hot functions here. But you can see that this one is kind of run out of these hot functions there. It's pretty limited, whereas this one had quite a few more. You can see it's a lot more in-depth stuff that it's able to access. Now, if you were to buy one of these tools, you'd be using this upgrade menu here. And then they have the ability to update the vehicle diagnostic software. That's for each individual vehicle. And I can tell you, this thing has got a ton of vehicles in here. Now, of course, if you're in the United States or in Europe, you're probably not going to see a lot of these cars. I mean, if you're in a region of China or anywhere else, I'm sure they've got a lot of other different vehicles there. But you want to scroll through this, and I would recommend what I do is I don't update the ones that I know I'm not going to work on. I don't want to take up space in the memory on this, although it has room for you to add an extra card on it. But I don't want to waste memory on vehicles I know I'm not going to work on. So if they're not in there, you'll see they're still available for download, the newest version. I'm not working on any of these cars you see here. But then when you get into some of these other ones, Ford, and I don't know why I did this, a couple of these here, but I updated a few extra ones on there. But Honda, Acura, Hyundai, just update the ones that you want to use and leave the rest alone. There's no reason to do that, okay? Now, if you go back here to the upgrade menu, you'll see you can do the maintenance software, and that's what the stuff that we saw in this maintenance tab over here, all those what I consider hot functions. So if you go into this, you can also do some updating on all of these things. And if you look through this list here, I've got a lot of stuff in here. So like I said before, it would take me forever to hook up to every car and go through every feature. I just can't do that for you. We're going to have to trust that this stuff works in here. And so far, just about everything I've tried to use on there has been functioning for me. So I think this is a great option for you if you need any of these features in here. You'll be able to do a lot of different things in here you can't do with a basic scan tool. And of course, they've got an application software update, and they're just going to continually, anytime they make improvements to the actual operating system, you'll get an update for that. So that's what's in this upgrade menu. We talked about the maintenance menu, and then we talked about the diagnose menu here. In the diagnostic menu, you've got auto VIN search. So you'll basically just plug your car in, turn it on, or I should say plug into your car, turn it on, and then this thing will automatically pick up the VIN and extract the vehicle information from it. I've had good success with this. It's been working great on both tools, so no issues there. I think the only one I had the trouble with was that 2025 Ford I mentioned earlier in the video that I was not able to get into that car yet. So I'm imagining, maybe in another few months here, that once they come out with another update for the Ford products, or maybe another update on the operating system, we should be able to get into that system. So just kind of have to maybe temper your expectations a little bit on some of the brand new stuff. So if you're driving a brand new car, you might have some limited functions on there. Okay. You can also put in their manual information, or you can go directly into the OBD generic system. So this is kind of the standard platform that you see on all the inexpensive scan tools. You would enter into their generic OBD2 system, and that's where you can get your 10 different modes through Onboard Diagnostics 2. So if you guys are using any of those modes, of course you are using clearing codes and reading codes. Those are part of the modes, and then some of the other ones in there as well. Okay. And then you've got your history, so if you want to keep your vehicles stored, the ones that you're working on, you'll have that in there. You'll have a place to store your reports, and then you can send feedback in through the internet, through email, and if you're having any problems with them. Okay, and then I've got this dollar fix community. I haven't even looked into this yet. I just haven't had time to play with that, but looks like they've got a little platform here if we're communicating with some people in there. So that's kind of what these menus on here are for. This is your online services. You can connect to Thinkcar directly through here. So if there's something that you need to do with them, communicate with them, you can do that right through the platform here on the scan tool. Obviously, you'll have to be connected to the internet. All these here are connected to my Wi-Fi system so that we can operate with the features that are in there. So in addition, you obviously have your battery life. There's a time on there, and Wi-Fi connectivity. And then you've got this, the more menu over here. You can see that they've got some of these other functions that are in there are also in this kind of side tab. So we've already talked about a lot of this stuff in here, but also you have obviously your settings in here. You can adjust how long it takes for the screen to time out. You can put your email in there, user information, universal information here as far as your time zone and how you like to set up those types of things. So of course you've got all of these other additional features in there. You can check those out as well. So I also wanted to mention here before I continue on that this ThinkScan 689 also comes with a little carry case where you don't really get that with the smaller version. So it has this little package here. You can put your scan tool in there. There's room for your cords up top, the power adapter. They've got one for European stuff here. And then of course your USB cables. It's USB to standard USB to USB-C, it looks like. So pretty much any of your adapters will work to charge this. And then if you need any of these fancy European things, they're in there. A little bit extra storage, which is kind of nice if you got the other tool. And I mentioned this before, guys, but I think I would highly recommend you purchase the Bluetooth version of this. Don't get the corded version. I've already put a service note into the company here, let them know their cords are just too short. They don't. It's not great to have to be stuck in the driver's seat while you're working with this tool. All right, I just want to quickly show you here in this maintenance tab some of these features on here. So, oops, you can see as we go through it, labels them all down below. Electronic parking brake, anti-lock brake bleeding, battery matching, DPF regeneration, electronic throttle adaptation, gearbox learning, anti-theft key matching, injector coating, oil reset, steering angle reset, and then TPMS reset. So that's the extent of the hot functions on here, or the maintenance functions on the smaller tool on this 662 model. I want to show you the features of this 689 tool, the more expensive tool. We'll start here at the beginning. This is with the maintenance functions, or the hot functions: electronic parking brake and brake pad reset. You've got adaptive front lighting system, electronic water pump starting, odometer check, air fuel ratio reset, anti-lock brake system bleeding, AdBlue reset. Scroll down a little further here. Air suspension matching, airbag reset, battery matching, clutch matching, DPF regeneration, ECU reset, EGR adaptation, electronics throttle adaptation, FRM matching, gateway module data calibration, gear learning, gearbox learning. You've got anti-theft key matching, injector coding. This is the language settings. We've got NOx sensor reset, odometer meter reset, oil reset, rainfall light sensor settings, seat calibration, steering angle reset, start-stop settings, sunroof initialization, TPMS reset, and then transport mode, turbo matching, tire size adjustment, and then you've got some window calibrations in there, okay? So you can go in here and you can sort the way that you want to set these up in the system as well. And then just here's a peek of restructuring all of those hot functions in the menu the way you want them. Let's take a peek at some live demos on real vehicles so you can see what these tools do in action. All right, guys, so I'm inside this Honda Civic, and I just kind of want to show you how this thing functions. We're going to go in here to the VIN scan. You can see this in real time. I'm just going to let this thing run and show you how it actually functions. Keep in mind we're using the Big Brother here. This is the 689 scan tool, and it is wired to the OBD2 port, okay? So it's going to start gathering the information on here automatically. So you see it pulled up the VIN number. It's got the make and the year on it. And then it's going to ask us for some more information here. So we're going through this 16-pin connector. We want to select our region. We're in the United States. Okay, and then you can go in here to System Selection, and then select whatever module that you want to look at. Now keep in mind, it has all these modules in here, but not every single one of them belongs in this car. This is just the available modules that were, in this year, make, or model maybe. So it's not going to have all these. If you wanted to go and find out which modules exist on this car, you can go in here to System Scan, This system scan will scan all the systems on there and let you know what this vehicle actually has, okay? So if we go to system selection, we know it obviously has an engine control module. Whoops, let's not do that one. Sorry, I want to go to engine control module. Okay, and then you can go in here and read fault codes like you normally would. This obviously doesn't have any codes. There's nothing wrong with it. You can clear the codes. And then it's got a list of options in here. Now keep in mind also, not all these options are available to you. You might go into ECM, PCM reset. Maybe that's something this vehicle doesn't have that function for. So don't expect them all to do something. But if there's a function you need in here, it should be in here, okay? So let's say you wanted to read the data stream in here. We can go in here. You could select whichever items you wanted to look at in here, okay? So let's say you were looking at, air-fuel ratio, and you want to see the air-fuel sensor on there. Maybe you want to see lambda on here. Let's do that. So you select a few different items. Now, I wouldn't recommend you select every item on here. It's going to significantly slow down the processing speed of this thing. So, there's already going to be a little bit of lag in this data that you look at. We want to make it any worse by selecting more items than you need. You can look through here. You can see it's got tons of stuff going on here. I've got hundreds of parameter IDs I can look at. Let's not select them all at once. It doesn't make sense to do that. Just pick what you need, whatever you're trying to diagnose, and then you can look at that. So you see I've got 4 of them selected here. We can just click OK. And then you can see on here it's going to display some data for you. Obviously you can change the values on it. It's going to give you some kind of ranges on it. If you wanted to see the air-fuel ratio on here, you could click on one of these, and then you should be able to hit the graph button. It's going to show you some of this stuff in real time. So if I were to start this car up, and let's just say I wanted to see real time, I wanted to graph the air-fuel ratio on here, I can open that one up big like we did, and then you can just go ahead and check whatever you want to do. You may want to hold it up a couple thousand RPMs, and you want to see what it does. If you wanted to set some minimum maximum lines on there, you could do that. That's what that min-max feature is for. Okay. So you see it's going to graph it for you, which is kind of useful depending on what you're looking at. Some things we don't really need a graph for, we just need them on or off. So I'm going to get back out of here, and I want to show you next in here we've got some special functions actuation tests on here. So I'm going to go to actuation test. Once again, you're going to see a long list of stuff in here. It doesn't mean everything on here you're going to be able to do. So let's give you an example. Let's click AC clutch. Okay, it tells you the engine should not be running. So I'll need to turn this back off. Turn the key on. Okay, might have to enter back into that. Let's see. Try that again. We're going to go to AC clutch. Okay, so now you can see it's telling you the AC clutch, the value is off. And if we just click on, this is part of the bidirectional controls or activation test. You click on and I can hear the AC compressor turn on. I heard the clutch engage even though the car is not running. And you can see the value just says on now. Then you can turn it back off again. So this is kind of helpful if you wanted to test power to the AC clutch to see if you're getting a signal down to there. You're checking the computer to see if it's actually activating everything. So this is what's nice about being able to do activation tests or even bidirectional controls. Okay, so you can see there's other stuff in there. Now if I go back one more, oops, I'm sorry. Let me get back here. I'm going to go to this special functions, and this is where you'll see more things in there that you can do. Okay, so they've got like throttle learning if you needed to relearn the throttle on here after you did a throttle body cleaning or something like that. So you got to look through these menus on here and see what's available for your vehicle when you're working on them. Again, just because it has these stuff in the menu doesn't necessarily mean that this particular vehicle we're working on actually has those features, okay? And this is how I would recommend you get to a lot of these special features. I know we talked about earlier in the video, we talked about this maintenance menu, okay? So not all of these features are easily accessible through this hot function. It's what I found anyway. So sometimes you just have to go into the module itself. If you're in the engine control module, transmission control module, well, pick the module that your system you're trying to activate is in, and then try to access it through those actuator tests or special functions. That's going to be the best way to get to it. All right, we're inside a different vehicle here, 23 Toyota Tundra. I know you guys have seen some videos I've made about doing the fluids on here as far as the activating the electric water pump, and then the transmission controls on here to do the transmission fluid service. I just wanted to kind of show you what some of those things would look like in here. So again, if I go to the maintenance functions on here, you can see electric water pump starting. We can enter that, And this is where I found that sometimes it's a little bit hit or miss with this scan tool. You know, instead of going through this function here, you may want to go straight into the vehicle computer in order to do that. So this is just a good example I was going to show you of what happens sometimes if you try to get in through the hot functions. Okay, it just wasn't in there. All right, so then we can go back into diagnose though, and it's going to be in here. So we'll go ahead and scan the VIN again. Again, we're using the big brother, the 689. The other tool function is just the same. The screen looks a little bit different, but it still works the same, about the same speed. Okay. Let's see if I can zoom this out a little bit. Okay, so then we can go in here. We're going to manually select, we're going to automatic search. And we've got a 09, oops, I'm sorry. Up to 2308. Actually, let me go back here again. Make a search. All right, so then we've got our vehicle selected. Select OK. And then we can go in here to our system selection. So let's say I wanted to activate this hybrid water pump on here, the inverter pump. We'll go into that hybrid system. And we'll go in here, let's see if it's in actuator tests or special functions. Right here, activate the inverter water pump, okay? Now you can select no monitoring data or monitoring data. It just means do you want to see some of the stuff. So let's just do a little bit of monitoring data. I think I did this in that video for you guys, and so we'll show you what that looks like. So we're going to go in here to the inverter water pump. So right here. So you could just, let's say you wanted the water temperature, you want to do the inverter water pump, the duty ratio, and the water pump revolutions, okay? So you could select those. And then you can see the data on here, and then it just allows you to activate the inverter pumps on here. So then you just select on, and then when we click this on, you can see that the RPMs went up on the water pump. Okay, the speed went up. It's telling you it's at an 85% duty ratio. And then it's also going to tell you the temperatures here in degrees Fahrenheit. And obviously, as this vehicle are to be running, we expect that temperature to go up as the inverter is doing its job. Okay, so then we can. All right, and then you've got a lot of other features in here. You just have to look through these menus and see what's available for you. If I go into this service functions on here, you can see again they've got some other choices on here. I don't know what this coolant replacement looks like. So they're going to give you some steps on here and how to replace the coolant, I guess. If you didn't have that information, it's kind of nice that it tells you how to do that. And I think I explained this in that video when I did that. I was using our information system, not this scan tool, but you can see a lot of this information in here is pretty much the same. So some of these settings are just giving you information, some are actuating things. You just have to kind of play with the features in it as you would with any scan tool to figure out what it can and can't do for you. Well, now that I've shown you both of these tools, what they look like in operation, the functions and features of them, I've tried to explain to you everything that they claim they can do. A little caveat here, I want to make sure you guys remember not every scan tool is going to be able to do every function that you want it to do. So this is the reason we have multiple scan tools. I've touched on this already, and I just want to back it up again because it's important to say that. If you buy one of these tools through our Amazon storefront, we certainly appreciate that, although I'm not pushing anything. Obviously, they've given me these tools for free to use and to demo, and then give you an honest assessment of them. That's what we try to do here on this channel. So I think these tools are working out pretty good so far. I think they're great value for the money. I think the fact that you don't have to pay for these updates for the lifetime of the tool is really great. So use that information how you like, and we appreciate your support for the channel. Thanks for watching the video. As always, please like, subscribe, all those good things, and check out some more videos. We got tons of great content for you on the channel. Thank you.